And then, speaking of victories that might get you into the finals, let's talk about St Kilda. They go in on the road against one of the best teams in the league, at least for us, the hottest team in the league. They're number one in our power rankings. And the Saints win this one by 32. They win their third straight. Brisbane's previous three-game winning streak comes to an end. And if St Kilda does get into the finals, it's going to be because of this relentless, highly pressured defense, because this team does not let you breathe. It doesn't give you a moment to think. They're always up in your face. And there's hardly ever a clean play that you can make or an obvious play that you can make. They out-hustle, they out-pressure the Lions into making costly errors and shocking errors at times as well. Now also on the offensive side, you got Max King looking great like usual. 3 goals in this one. As the top Lions scorers were awfully quiet in this one, almost like what you saw from Geelong. Then even worse for Brisbane is that Eric Hipwood likely has a ACL injury and could very well be out for the rest of the season, which is extremely unfortunate because the game is better with him, and so this injury hurts everyone in this case. But I gotta ask a question, and obviously you have to ask, can St Kilda make the top 8? And I did not really think that we'd even be having this conversation at this point of the year. But before I get your answer, I just want to give you, I kind of refer to my hot take with Essendon. And I'm going to say, so St Kilda right now, they have the last 6 games of the season: Port Adelaide, West Coast, Carlton, Sydney, Geelong, and Fremantle. And I'm just going to say it right now, Donnie. It's probably the hard take going to cover the Dons, but St Kilda and Essendon are both making the finals this year. And I would not bet the house on that. But, man, if we're talking odds, I would like to put a little bit of money on that one.
Okay, so I'll fire back before I answer your question. So, who are your 2 out? Do you see Frio and West Coast both falling out then?
Yeah. Right now, they're the obvious ones, but also I don't see Fremantle doing enough to win in this last really brutal stretch of games, and I have zero confidence in the West Coast Eagles, especially after losing to the Roos, which we'll get to here in a couple minutes.
Oh boy, this was the St Kilda that if you asked me at the start of the season and showed me this result, it wouldn't have shocked me because this was the St Kilda team I was expecting all season.
Mm.
A high pressure, high offense, high octane team that they hit you with that double barrel ruck battle of Rowan Marshall and Paddy Ryder, which I think is so difficult to stop because you either face the battering ram that is Ryder or the athletic freak that is Rowan Marshall, which is never an easy combination for any ruck because they're either going to be able to compete evenly with Ryder but not be able to stay with Rowan, or be able to stay with Rowan and get beat up when you face Paddy Ryder. So it's very much a difficult situation when you face St Kilda when both of their rucks are healthy. I mean, the record is there. St Kilda's only won 1 game without the 2 of them. They've only had one, either Ryder or Marshall. They've only won 1 game this season with only one of them. And almost all of their wins have been, except for that one, all of their wins have been with the 2 of them there. So they are definitely making an impact. And Hipwood's injury is absolutely disastrous timing because Brisbane was playing really, really well. You're in that stretch run just before the finals, and your 3-headed monster has just lost one of its heads. Charlie Cameron now has to adjust. Joe Danaher has to adjust. How does McStay handle it? How does Bailey handle it? How does this Brisbane Lions handle Eric Hipwood not being there? Coach Fagan has his hands full trying to get this team refocused, restructure it maybe even a tiny bit to make it work, because he was putting Joe Danaher occasionally in the ruck to use his athleticism and jumping ability. I don't think he can do that now.
No.
So now the question is, does he bring in another tall? Does he adjust how he uses Oscar McInerney in the ruck now because he may not be able to use Danaher? So there are a few questions now that are going to be plaguing Coach Fagan at night now. How does he handle this? How does he handle this? I mean, Brisbane's going to make the finals. I don't think they're in any way going to fall out of the finals. So that's not what they're looking at. But for Brisbane, this was one of those games where you could have solidified yourself in the top four, almost guaranteed yourself the four with this win.
Mm-hmm.
This loss only brings the pack closer to you, which will be quite an interesting situation going into it. Now, they do have a tiny bit of an easier run after this week. They play Richmond, then they have Hawthorn, Gold Coast, Freo, Collingwood, and the West Coast. Not exactly world beaters,
Mm-hmm.
but again, as we've kind of discussed, Collingwood playing better, Freo playing better, Gold Coast playing better. Hawthorn's the kind of the only one we're kind of like, not so much. We're not
Mm-hmm.
sure. And then Richmond, what Richmond do you get? There's still a shot Brisbane could go 5-1 or 6-0. At least I think 4-2 out of this group if they play the way they should. So I don't think they're in trouble, but this definitely will test this Brisbane Lion forwards. How do they adjust? No more Eric Hipwood.